Uh-oh.
Up in her last two fights. Good way hitting him from that way down.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. This past weekend, on the undercard of Fury versus Usyk, we saw a battle of the unbeatens between Agit Kabayel and Frankie Sanchez, and we all know what happened. Agit Kabayel stopped Frankie the same way he stopped Arslanbek Makhmudov. This was a WBC final eliminator to crown their next mandatory challenger. So where before, Agit Kabayel was just a little-known unbeaten heavyweight who's based out of Germany, now there's actually an incentive to fight him, more than one, since Turki Al-Sheikh has gotten behind him and is now bankrolling his fights, but he's also the mandatory challenger via the WBC. So any fighter who has aspirations of one day becoming a WBC champion, they will now have to go through Agit Kabayel.
That's two incentives.
Now we can sit here brainstorming, pulling random names out of a hat that we would like to see in the ring with Agit Kabayel, like the winner of the upcoming Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller fight, or maybe the winner of Wilder versus Chang.
Those would all be good fights.
But because this weekend's fight was a WBC final eliminator, I turn my attention to the WBC's current rank standings. Ranked at number 1 is Anthony Joshua, though I'm not sure that Agit Kabayel will end up facing him because Anthony's slated to be facing the winner of Hrgovic versus Dubois.
Right?
So even though he's ranked at number 1, I don't expect a fight between him and Agit to happen. Ranked at number 2 is Frankie Sanchez, and Agit Kabayel already dealt with him. Agit himself is ranked at number 3, and Nigeria's own Efe Ajagba is ranked at number 4. Now, that is a fight that I could see happening. Agit Kabayel versus Efe Ajagba on the top-ranked side of things, as Efe Ajagba is promoted by Top Rank.
It's a good fight.
They share a common opponent between them in Frankie Sanchez. Frankie, about 2 or 3 years ago, gave Efe his first professional loss.
Efe has since rebounded off that loss. He's won some fights, though he's failed to impress me. He still seems somewhat gun-shy, afraid to pull the trigger, and limited, robotic.
I didn't like how he looked a few weeks ago in there with Guido Vianella.
Tori Fettuccini, Guido Vianella.
Efe really didn't impress me in that fight, and I'm not even sure that he deserved to win it, but that's how it happened. So the way that it might happen based on these ranks is Agit Kabayel versus Efe Ajagba, either in defense of his mandatory status or for the vacant WBC title if and when it becomes vacant. It could happen that way. Another way it might happen. Ranked at number 5, America's own unbeaten up-and-comer Jared Anderson, who, like Efe Ajagba, was in action not but a few weeks ago. He was in there with Riyad Murhi, a very modest-sized heavyweight who didn't put on an ambitious performance. That's saying that neither guy impressed me, neither Jared Anderson or Riyad Murhi, because there wasn't much going on in that fight. In Jared, you had a guy who's afraid to take some chances, and in Riyad Murhi, you had a guy who was content just surviving. He wasn't really trying to win.
He was just trying not to get hit.
As far as heavyweight contests go, that one was a snoozer. All you really saw from Jared in that fight was distance control with the jab. But it's hardly impressive because you're in there with an undersized heavyweight. That doesn't represent what you'll face once you get to that upper echelon with those giants, those big guys like Joe Joyce or Philippe Hrgovic, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, these kinds of fighters, these kinds of people that stand in anywhere in between 6'5" to 6'7".
Get back to the point.
I wasn't impressed with Efe Ajagba, who ranks in at number 4. I wasn't impressed with Jared Anderson, who ranks in at number 5, but these two seem like the likeliest candidates to face Agit Kabayel next. That there is a distinct possibility via the WBC's rank standings that he may end up fighting one of them, and where they haven't been looking impressive, he has. He looked impressive with Arslanbek Makhmudov. He looked impressive this weekend with Frankie Sanchez. And those are two very different fighters with two very different styles. But Agit dealt with them handily.
He's proving himself. He's proving his eliticism. Those are very good scalps. Two unbeaten guys back to back.
F.A. Ajagba or Jared Anderson could really have their hands full with a guy like Agit Kabayel because he's not actually limited to coming forward and being aggressive. That's just something he's been resorting to in his more recent fights. The best way to describe him is a fleet of foot fighter. Light on his feet, he can move around.
Forwards, backwards, lateral.
He's got speed in those hands too. Good punch placement. Punches downstairs, punches upstairs. Very good combinations with good speed and power. Enough that he took out two unbeaten fighters. So you gotta respect him.
In recent years, you've heard more about F.A. Ajagba or Jared Anderson than you've heard about Agit Kabayel. For a long time, Agit was flying very low under the radar.
But now it's becoming crystal clear. Somebody is gonna have to deal with this guy. Men's heavyweight news, some post-fight comments from Tyson Fury, the former WBC champion, on his defeat to Usyk. He said, "I believe I won that fight. I believe he won a few of the rounds, but I won the majority of them. We both put on a good fight. His country is at war, so people are siding with the country at war. Make no mistake, I won that fight in my opinion. We've got a rematch clause. I've got a split decision loss to a good little man. We run it back in October. Well done, Alexander."
Brass tacks.
I've watched the fight 2 times since yesterday, and the most that I can say for the rounds that Tyson Fury won, what success he had, all we're really talking about is 4 rounds. 4 rounds. Arguably 5 if you want to be generous, as most Tyson Fury fans are, but that's it.
That's all.
A height advantage, a reach advantage, the edge in youth, because he is younger than Alexander, 43 pounds heavier.
And all he did was win about 4 rounds.
Oh, I know that one of the judges was extra generous with Tyson Fury. That's expected. But having seen the fight several times since it happened, the most I could give Fury were about 4 rounds.
Is there going to be a rematch?
Well, Tyson did mention that they have a rematch clause, but we knew that already. We don't know here and now if they will so choose to exercise it. Tack on that Frank Warren very recently sat down with seconds out.
He's left uncertain on a Fury versus Usyk rematch because he could retire.
In the build-up of this fight, I long maintained that if Fury loses, and I expected him to, I didn't expect that he would activate the rematch clause, that he would so choose to run it back, because undisputed doesn't mean to him what it means to Usyk or what it meant to Anthony. Fury won't stand on ceremony. He's in it for the big bucks, the money, and that's it. That's the only reason he fought this guy this weekend.
The money.
So, if all you're driven by is the money and not the prestige, the legacy aspect of it, well, there's more money in a Joshua fight than there is in an Usyk rematch. That's not saying that an Usyk rematch won't get you paid. It will, but you'll get even more paid if you fight Anthony.
If you fight Usyk again, it won't be for undisputed.
I don't really think that matters to Tyson Fury, but it's worth noting that if the rematch is going to be all the way out there in October, then all the belts won't be on the line. Usyk is going to lose at least one of them, the IBF title, which is going to go to the winner of Hrgovic versus Dubois.
The psychological aspect is pretty important too.
Not all fighters can recover from a loss the same way. Some fighters can, some fighters can't. You think about a fighter like Keith Thurman. Hasn't been the same since that Pacquiao fight. He never really recovered from it. Wilder doesn't seem to have recovered from those losses to Tyson Fury. You put him in there with Joseph Parker, who he's favored to beat, and he gets beat. He might get beat again by Zhilei Chang, and that will be the end of him. No, not all fighters are created equal, and not all of them have that ability to dig deep and recover from a loss.
Anthony Joshua has, in recent years, in spite of his critics and the media themselves didn't make it easy on Anthony, but in many ways he is back.
Can Tyson Fury do that now? Because he finds himself in the exact same situation, having lost to a guy that Anthony lost to. Can Fury pull himself back together? Does he even really want to run it back with Alexander Usyk? Deep down, on the inside, the fighter in him, does he really want a rematch? We'll find out. As it pertains to that potentiality, a rematch with Fury, Usyk said, "It's a great time, a great day. Yes, of course I am ready for a rematch."
The Usyk people knew going in that they might not just have one, but two fights with Tyson Fury. And I think that they are prepared for such
Situation.
a potentiality. But is Fury?
Psychologically, is he really up for it now that he's been beaten, defeated? The greats, I mean the all-time greats, like Muhammad Ali,
George Foreman?
Lennox Lewis, they came back from losses, crushing defeats. That ability to pull yourself together, get back on the horse, get back on the saddle, and get back out there.
A measure of their greatness is that they were able to do that. But like I said, not everybody can.
Can Tyson Fury, who some would have had you believe is the greatest heavyweight of all times, greater even than Muhammad Ali?
My ass.
Remember what Alexander Usyk said ahead of this weekend's fight? That he plans to fight until he's age 40, regardless of the result against Fury. Now we know what the result is. Does that mean that Usyk's gonna stick around as a defending, undisputed champion in the heavyweight division? The Ukrainian southpaw turns 38 years old in January, but he doesn't have plans of retiring anytime soon. Yes, of course, I'm gonna continue boxing. Maybe up to 3 more years, Usyk told Boxing Scene. My motivation for fighting is discipline, family, and fans. I appreciate the support of the people and the Ukrainian soldiers. This is my motivation. We are capable of more with good work. My biggest win is yet to come. It will happen when my soul is delivered to paradise. I feel good. The Fury fight is a big event for me, my family, and my country. I can't wait. Not thinking about the knockout. My focus is on boxing. If I can, it will be a knockout. If not, it will be a 12-round decision.
That's what it turned out to be.
A little bit of both, really. Usyk continued. He was unbothered by any of the potential threats Fury presented. Nothing. He's good at talking. For me, doesn't matter. It doesn't work for me, said Usyk. For me, the Francis Ngannou performance didn't matter because Tyson will be different with me, and he was. Maybe Fury is easier than Joshua for me. Maybe not. We'll see.
And we saw.
In the Joshua versus Usyk fights, Usyk won them both. But he never slapped Anthony Joshua up and down the ring like a ping pong ball, like he did with Tyson Fury in the 9th round of this weekend's fight. No, it never got that bad in any of those Joshua fights.
Outside looking in, it looked like it was easier for Usyk to beat Fury than it was to beat Joshua.
Could Fury make any adjustments in a second fight, in a rematch that might secure him the W? And he might try to come in heavier, like he did with Deontay Wilder, outsize Alexander Usyk.
But that would make Fury slower.
If the goal is to put on more weight, come forward more, and press the smaller man, if you make that adjustment, Usyk will adjust to you, and that'll make you more hittable.
Do you remember what happened in the 9th round that led up to Tyson Fury being rattled like that? Do you remember what it was? He was coming forward throwing a series of uppercuts.
He was trying to get aggressive with Alexander Usyk, and Usyk countered him. Got in with a right hand, then a left, and you saw the rest. So if you want to get aggressive with him, that's at your peril.
Don't take it from me. Go back and watch it.
What started that entire sequence that saw Tyson Fury ragdolled by a smaller man who he outweighed by 43 pounds, what started all of that off was that Fury was trying to come in with uppercuts, trying to get aggressive with the smaller man, push him back, fight him off, and he got countered.
Should have got waved off.
So, I mean, you can activate your rematch clause if you really want to do that, but if you do, I still got Usyk beating you. I think he's got you all figured out.
Whether you want to go in there and box or go in there and brawl, I think he beats any version of Tyson Fury.
Every version of him, because what Tyson Fury has relied upon all these years is being more athletic than the big guys. But you're not more athletic than this guy.
You don't do nothing better than this guy.
That's what I've been saying. So, I mean, they can run it back, and if they do, I'll watch it, but I still have Usyk winning the fight. You may think that Fury can make some adjustments, but Usyk can make some adjustments too. And who really hurt who in this weekend's fight?
Who was really worse for wear?
What, because Fury landed a few decent counter uppercuts here and there? That's it? That's all? Usyk ragdolled him, and he was 43 pounds heavier than Usyk.
You need more weight?
You need an even bigger weight advantage? It was already a David and Goliath kind of deal. You're already taller and longer and younger and heavier, and that wasn't enough. And they wonder why I say Tyson Fury's overrated. I'm not terribly pressed to see a second fight. I mean, I'll watch it if they do it.
But I don't actually think it's necessary. Rematch clause and all.
As it pertains to a potential rematch later on this year, as it pertains to Usyk boxing till age 40, I'd rather he not do that. Too often in the sport, the elite guys, the really good ones, they stick around too long. The cautionary tale of Roy Jones Jr., who many now say should have retired right after the Quiet Man Ruiz fight at heavyweight, that if he would have retired off that fight, he would have went down in history as the greatest pound-for-pound fighter the sport had ever seen, with none of the blemishes, none of the losses. He stuck around too long.
The losses that came after. This guy started out at junior middle, won a title at heavyweight. Unprecedented.
But he stuck around too long and started losing fights that he didn't need to lose. I don't want that to be the situation for Usyk, because you know who's unbeaten. You know who's unbeaten in all situations, in all scenarios, against all opponents? Father Time. I'm sure that between what he made from the World Boxing Super Series, the Tony Bellew fight after that, the two Joshua fights, and what he just made with Fury, he's got more than enough money to retire on.
I think he should.
But if there is by some chance a rematch, a second Fury fight before this year is out, I think Usyk wins it. If there isn't a second fight and Fury decides to take a little bit of time off, comes back, fights AJ, I think AJ knocks him out. I think AJ retires him.
Knocks out Fury.
Yes, he does. Fury, in spite of his reputation, his defense is not so on par, so impregnable that AJ can't touch him. Late last year, a goddamn MMA fighter with no prior professional experience in a boxing ring touched him. This past weekend, a smaller guy, much smaller guy, who's not even known for power,
Ragdolled Fury.
if Anthony Joshua puts a right hand to this guy's chin, he goes down, he goes out, and he don't get up. He don't recover.
Usyk's left hand hurt him, and as much as I like Usyk, he's not known for power.
See what Usyk's left hand did to him. What would Anthony Joshua's right hand do to him? I'm telling you now. AJ knocks him out. If Fury don't decide to call it a career off of this loss, if he sticks around, but he don't run it back with Usyk, he don't fight him for a second time, he decides he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, he's cashing out.
There's a lot of moving parts, and a lot of things have to come to pass because it's conceivable that Anthony may face the winner of Hrgovic versus Dubois before he ends up fighting Tyson Fury.
In that scenario, AJ's got to beat the winner of that fight. Fury's got to recover from this weekend's fight, but it can happen.
Still a lot of money in it.
I already gave Anthony Joshua very good odds in previous years to beat Tyson Fury, who I've long maintained is overrated. While he's a good fighter, a lot of it is smoke, mirrors, selective matchmaking, and hyperbole. That if you actually get him in the ring with AJ, you'll see.
More so now.
Because he's got the inside track on Tyson Fury, more so now than he did before. Do you remember who he's training with? Ben Davison, who used to train Tyson Fury. He knows Tyson's strengths, Tyson's weaknesses.
Somewhere along the lines, the Americans got it in their head that Tyson Fury is this defensive wizard that can walk through water without getting wet. Is that why he's been downed more times than Anthony Joshua? By more people.
Pychik knocked him down, Steve Cunningham knocked him down, Wilder knocked him down 4 times, a goddamn MMA fighter knocked him down, and this weekend Usyk knocked him down because the only thing that held him up was the ropes.
But you don't think AJ can lay a glove on this guy?
You must be fucking stupid or something. Stupid or stubborn or both.
If they fight, AJ retires Tyson Fury.
Still a lot of money in that fight. Enough that I think Fury might do it. Forgo the Usyk rematch and fight AJ.